Hello everyone and welcome to Leadership Development Resources Closing the Gap Leadership Webinar, where we impart life principles on leveraging creative power of conflict. I'm just wondering, have you ever looked back at some of the terrible decisions you made and wondered, what was I thinking? Well, there's actually a chance you weren't thinking at all. Instead, you may have acting on emotion and not reason. The best decisions are made when there's a careful balance between emotions and reasons. When our emotions are running high, your reasoning will be low, which can lead to irrational decisions. I would like to share with you some principles on how emotions can cloud our judgments. And my personal take is that the balanced interaction between emotions and reasons is what really goes between arguing and reasoning. So welcome to our talk entitled Emotions Clouding Judgment. What goes between arguing and reasoning? An amusing example comes from the 1991 movie Defending Your Life. In one scene, the character Daniel Miller, played by Albert Brooks, is preparing for a salary negotiation the next day with his boss. To try out the tough bargaining strategy that he's planning to use, he enlists his wife's help. His wife makes various salary offers, and Daniel rejects every one of them, insisting that he cannot take the job for a penny under $65,000. As Daniel refuses to budge from his position, his wife starts to make him increasingly attractive offers. The next scene is Daniel's negotiation with his boss. His boss opens a discussion by saying, "Daniel, I am prepared to offer you $49,000. And before he even finishes his sentence, Daniel replies, "I'll take it." So, Daniel's decision to be tough got derailed by the emotions he failed to anticipate. The anxiety triggered by sitting in front of his boss and negotiating with him. So be reminded that emotions can cloud our judgment and influence our decisions when triggered by the situation at hand. But research shows it is also possible for emotions triggered by one event to spill over and affect another unrelated situation. So we have to realize here that, for example, imagine, for instance, that you hit heavy traffic while driving to work. Later that day, you have an important meeting with a client who is interested in placing an order for the new product that your company is launching. You initiated the product's development and oversaw its creation. So there's a lot at stake for you. By the time you reach the office, you are 45 minutes late for work and fuming with anger. Since your meeting isn't for another hour, you should be able to push your anger aside by then, right? In fact, research suggests we are often unable to do so. Emotions triggered by an event completely unrelated to a new situation can influence our thinking and decisions in that situation. Individual decisions are best understood as there is meaningful interaction between reason and emotion. When we are calm, slow rational thinking guides our decisions. However, strong emotions place a constraint for clear thinking. For example, before an unpleasant encounter, you may decide to keep your cool. However, when provoked to anger, you lash out without pausing to consider the consequences. So, again, we have to realize that our emotional reactions to our daily decisions may be useful in directing our attention toward what matters the most. But strong feelings may lead us to make unwise decisions. I got reminded by one of the statements made by Donald Kahn. He is a Canadian neurologist, that he said, the essential difference between emotion and reason is that emotion leads to action, while reason leads to conclusion. Honestly, we need to put actions in every resolution that we had made. We need both emotions and reasons, and a balanced interaction of the two must definitely be our goal. So here are 4 ways your emotions can cloud your judgment. Number 1, excitement can cause you to overestimate your chances of success. So let me further explain. There's a reason why casinos use bright lights and loud noises. They want you to get excited. So the more excited you feel, the more likely you'll be to spend large amounts of money. So when you feel really excited about something, you are more likely to underestimate a risk. Whether you're taking out a large loan for a thrilling opportunity, or you're making an investment in an impressive business, or you'll be more likely to underestimate your risk when you're feeling excited. So feelings of excitement will cause you to focus more on the potential reward while underestimating the reality of risk. Number 2, anxiety in one area of your life spills over into other areas. So when we say anxiety, we have to realize that everyone has the possibility or has the chance to be anxious. So if you're anxious about something going on in your personal life, perhaps you're worried about a health scare, or you're nervous about buying a new house. Like for example, the COVID-19 that we are experiencing, it can scare you. So it can cause you to feel anxious over your business decisions. Even though the situations are completely unrelated, research shows you'll likely have trouble separating the two. So anxiety over one specific issue can linger. So when you're feeling nervous, you may refuse to create change, or you may struggle to make decisions. As a result, your thinking is likely to be clouded. So we have to be reminded that anxiety influences the way you view risk in all areas of your life. It also takes a significant portion of yourself and impairs your ability to think clearly. Number 3, feelings of sadness can cause you to settle. Research shows you're likely to set your goals really low when you're feeling sad. In one study, participants were asked to sell various objects. Participants who felt sad set their prices lower than the other participants. Researchers suspect sadness led them to set the bar low, in hopes that achieving their goal would improve their mood. Therefore, we have to understand that lowering your expectations could prevent you from reaching your greatest potential. If you're feeling down, you might not negotiate for what you really want, or you might decide not to apply for that promotion because you're too fearful of rejection. So we have to realize that we have to balance emotions and reasons. And number 4, anger and embarrassment can lead to bigger risks. Intense emotions can lead to rash decisions. If you're not careful, anger and embarrassment may make you particularly vulnerable to high-risk, low-payoff choices. Researchers believe intense, uncomfortable emotions impair self-regulation skills. Of course, when you're feeling really emotional, your risk can become self-destructive. When those big risks don't pay off, your anger and embarrassment are likely to intensify. In Ephesians 5:26-27, the verses state that, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil." This particular verses acknowledge that being angry has its place, but cautious not to let the anger spill over into another day, to become the cause for sin, or to make room for more destruction. Hence, we have to realize that anger clouds judgment, distorts truth, and destroys integrity. A principle that is very simple and yet crystal clear. As we are getting near the culmination of this talk, let me give you a very crucial statement. The great challenge is to balance emotions with reasons. Emotions certainly play an important role in the communication and decision-making processes. A balanced interaction of emotions and reasons keeps you away from making poor choices and can ignite a spark that leads you to follow your passion. To make balanced choices, acknowledge your emotions. Pay attention to your feelings and recognize how those emotions may distort your thinking and influence your behavior. Also, raise your logic and decrease your emotional reactivity by listing the pros and cons of a tough decision. You see, seeing the facts on paper can help you think more rationally about your options and prevent your emotions from getting the best of you. Let me end with this story. Once, a teacher was traveling with his disciples and passed by a lake. He asked one of his disciples to fetch him some water. The disciple ran to the lake, but when he reached, a bull cart was passing by, rippling the water and making it muddy. So he returned empty-handed and told his teacher the reason. After some time, the teacher sent him again, but the water was still muddy, and he couldn't give that to the teacher. The third time, he was sent. The mud had settled down, so he scooped the clear water from the surface and brought it back. Upon this, the teacher remarked, "The mind is like the lake. When we are angry or upset, we must give ourselves time for the murkiness to settle down. We don't have to put any effort. It happens on its own. We just have to wait." The moral of this story serves as my final thoughts. The best way to react in an emotional situation is to not react. What seems rational during that moment will seem different a few hours later. The goal is not to make better decisions when emotional, but to develop an awareness of our emotional state and control our reactions in the moment. Wait for the physical symptoms to subside and your mind to clear. And then try weighing the pros and cons of your decision to see what you come up with. I would like to end my talk with a statement from Aldous Huxley, an English writer. And he said, "Experience is not what happens to you. It's how you interpret what happens to you." Once again, he said, "It's how you interpret what happens to you." And this is the intersection or the interaction of emotions and reasons. Once again, thank you for being with us, and we are hoping that we are able to impart life principles on leveraging creative power of conflict. One of our defining marks as a group of mentors is to facilitate learning through a debriefing discussion, which happens right after this brief talk. So it will be great to have you with us in a debriefing session, as we would love to hear you and learn from each other. If you registered for this session, you definitely had received an email message with a link for our debriefing session. Thank you so much, and we are so much thrilled to have you in our leadership webinar. This is Sunday Taniegra reminding you that you are a day closer to your destiny. God's blessings.